Hello there, and of course, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa if this applies to you and you're celebrating. Scotland's regional parliament has voted in favour of legislation making it easier for transgender people to change their gender. But London may want to block the project. So the Scottish Regional Parliament in Edinburgh has voted in favour of a law to make it easier to change the gender registration of trans people. The heavily disputed draft law was approved on Thursday afternoon after a lengthy debate with 86 votes in favour and 39 MPs opposed. Trans people or transgender people are people who do not feel they belong to the gender they were assigned at birth. The project by First Minister Nicola Sturgeon from the Scottish National Party, the SNP, had triggered a fierce controversy. Critics like Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling fear that men could take advantage of the simplified regulations to enter areas reserved for women, such as women's changing rooms or toilets, for sexual motives. The dispute did not spare Sturgeon's own party either. Supporters and opponents of the bill had demonstrated during the week before and in the Scottish Regional Parliament in Edinburgh. The British government in London has announced that it may block the law before it comes into force. We share the concerns of many people about certain aspects of this bill, and in particular the safety concerns for women and girls. That was said by Scotland Secretary Alistair Jack. The new regulation eliminates the obligation for a medical report as a prerequisite for changing the gender entry. The minimum age for such an application will be lowered from 18 to 16. The length of time a trans person must have lived in their new gender role will be reduced from 2 years to 3 months. The so-called Gender Recognition Reform Bill was considered the most controversial legislative project since the Scottish Regional Parliament was founded almost 24 years ago. But we know from biology that more than 1,000 genes are involved in the development of the genitals. In a statement, the German Society for Psychology describes gender as a multidimensional construct whose development is determined by the complex interaction of various physical, psychosocial, and psychosexual influencing factors. This shows that sex is more diverse and cannot be determined solely on the basis of biological characteristics. The German Federal Constitutional Court also follows this scientific finding in several judgments. According to this, a person's gender affiliation is not only determined by physical gender characteristics, but also essentially by gender identity. Therefore, this is also indirectly under the special protection of the Basic Law, that means through the right to free development of personality formulated in our Constitution. Gender self-experience is therefore central to the definition of gender. The recognition of gender identity is one of the fundamental rights. Contrary to what is sometimes claimed, trans people are not concerned with abolishing gender nor with negating biology or the body. However, the existence of trans people shows that certain physical characteristics defined as gender characteristics do not automatically lead to a specific gender identity and thus gender affiliation. The unfortunately still widespread misconception that genitals alone determine gender leads to the existence of trans people being denied or rejected. Instead of questioning the definition of gender, trans people are regarded as sick or simply nobody believes them. And this puts them under a lot of pressure to prove and declare their gender identity. They are often denied transition because non-trans people simply do not find the gender identity of trans people convincing enough. Even after the transition has taken place, trans people are often still doubted and are considered fake. Incidentally, narrow gender ideas and the associated role expectations do not only harm trans people. With the attribution of gender at birth and classification as a boy or a girl, a certain behavior is approved or criticized, rewarded or punished, and that from an early age. If there is greater scope for how gender can be lived, this leads to more self-determination and freedom for all people. It doesn't matter how they define themselves by gender. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.